I feel like breaking up is this way more drawn out thing than we've sort of know it to be in song and in all types of stuff that we consume. And so I've always wanted to just sort of make that really clear, give you a song for each part of that experience. Frontline is when I left my ex for the first time, when there's a lot of neck and a lot of hand grabs, and basically I don't need you. There's a confidence behind the leaving. It's sort of one of those songs that you can sing in your car while being like, like it's really that. But I like that it starts off, I think for me, I wanted to start off with a feeling. Just the sound of the instrumental also, just wanting to start from a floating feeling, Waiting is when you see your ex that you broke up with after that break. So you really think it's over, you're like, I'm good, but you see them again, and it fucks you up. Throughout the album, I sort of learned about who my influences are and how much they mean to me by making songs. There's what you think you love and what you're intending to do. And then when you're in the middle of creating the album, there's ways that I find out I'm really into or really respect certain artists. And this one really felt so Janet in this way that I'm finding out that how much she means to me. It feels like mom, like, Mom, I wrote this for you. Take Me Apart is the feeling after you see them again, when you're almost deeper in than you ever have been. And there's an urgency and a passion. There's like, the sex is better, everything's better. There's just like, you are way more vulnerable. Everybody's just spilling the beans, like all the things I didn't say to you on an emotional level, first and foremost, but it's also quite physical and visceral. So it's also sexual in that. Enough is when you really know it's really over. And it's a sadder leaving. It's just like, with that particular song, I can remember it conjures up a lot of feelings, and I can remember exactly how vulnerable I was feeling in a way that, we don't get to with Frontline. Everybody should be able to explore both of those types of, departures. I was on tour with Teen Girl Fantasy and Gatekeeper. We did a West Coast run, and we went to Vancouver, and there was this hotel, I think it's called the Waldorf Hotel. And in the basement, they had like a ton of keyboards. It was like this hotel that had a venue in it. It was a really cute little self-contained sort of thing. You stay there, you play there, you jam there, you record there, and it was just, ideal. So we went into the basement and just played around with a bunch of synths, and Aaron David Ross, who produced the track, just found a Jupiter synth and, played this line, and I was just like, the synth is called a Jupiter synth, so there's a way it sounds like you're in outer space, and it's all the sounds of outer spacey sounds, It's almost like an enveloping feeling, and it also feels so isolated. I improvised a melody over the track initially in 2012, and then it stayed in gibberish all the way through the entire record. I was gonna sort of do a Cocteau Twins thing and just be like, just jibber jabber. Then I shared it with Romy from the XX, and I told her what I think the song's about, because a lot of times it's just a feeling first. So with her, I was like, it feels like the moment after a breakup when you really are like that real by yourself. It's just like a insular, confidence building experience, but you also kind of feel your ugliest. You're processing what just happened, and like there's a lot of intention about how you want to move forward. Usually that forms in that period. So I told her that, and she was like, I have lyrics off the first listen. I think I know exactly what you're saying. And she didn't go far off of what the gibberish sounded like. I was like, wow, that sounds exactly like what I'm saying. And it makes perfect sense. So that's Jupiter. That's one of the biggest sort of melodic downloads that I've ever had straight off the top, off the dome. And I jammed it out with Maki, who is a frequent collaborator of mine. We were in the studio, and I remember him just like picking just a simple electric piano with a lot of reverb on it. Yeah, he's looking at me playing, and I was like, da 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 da. After the entire thing pretty much played out, I was just like, what Phil Collins song am I biting? Or like, what is this Janet song? What is the song? And he's like, that's not a song. Like, I don't think. So for the longest time, the track was called Did I Bite Phil Collins? Better is about the sort of reconciliation with your partner. There's a way that I think we discard of people once we break up with them, where you're just like, you don't live in my life, cut you out of my life. You don't exist anymore. And I don't know, in queer spaces, it doesn't feel so much like this. There's something particular about a queer experience that just makes it maybe so that ownership in relationship is not, it's like something that everybody's against or doesn't want to be a part of. When it's really abusive and when you need to stop, obviously you cut them out your life, you know, but there's also times where we're just not meant to be together. And like, it's not your fault and it's not my fault. This person that I wrote the first, 5 songs about or whatever, is somebody that is really close to me now and is one of my friends because I just love them and there's a reason why they were in my life in the first place. So we figured out a way to really heal. I think a lot of people do the fake healing and be like, we're friends now. That's not what it is, and not really doing the thing. So we've really talked about what happened, and we process it still, and it's just never going to be over, if that makes any sense, in terms of just trying to make each other feel better. This song comes after you've healed, your single moment. But even as a single person, you're still met with certain things, and so that's what the song is meant to address. Can there be care and, can we be careful and kind while we're being casual? I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. Truth or Dare is when you're in a flirt moment with someone. It's basically about that intimate hang where it's just the two of you, but you haven't done that before. Both people are kind of pretending. It's like a game. It's really dancey. It's also a Janet. It's very Janet. I don't know. Love you, Janet. SOS is a booty call, essentially, a classy booty call. It's the urgent, is this? And like, what could you be doing? What could you rather, what would you want to do right now other than this? Yeah. Blue Light is one of those tracks that actually started from a completely different sounding track. And I just sort of asked several people to sort of do their thing. And I really organized all of these parts together. So sonically, it's like situated between a couple of worlds. That's what I did on the whole album. So it is, yes, it's part of why it took me so long. I wanted it to sound like a quilt, like a woven, rather than slapdash on one on top of the other. And it is about this person that you've just met. It's like, when you like got out of the previous relationship and you're like, I'm not doing that, I'm trying to take it slow, I'm not like doing that. You approach everything with this like cautious, like I'm just not looking for anything serious, whatever we do, like literally everybody does it, but like we never catch on that we're doing that every single time. And it's sort of one of those things where I wanted to articulate that. I wanted to talk about the moment where you abandon this feeling, because I feel like that's a real experience that's quite pervasive. It's essentially the moment where you're like, you know what, I'm on my way, Onanon is we're in the relationship and it's a conflict. It might be not the first fight, you know, but it's one of those, it's kind of early fight. I just saw you had a little attitude just now. It's like, it's a little side eye. We both know we're doing something. So in the song, in the first verse, I'm pointing to like how he's being and how he's being like this and like being like that. And in the second verse, I'm like, but I'm also being like this, you know? And just sort of really articulate that we just go on and on and on and on, and that it's just a continuous cycle. But we had a few references, you know, Frozen, Madonna Frozen was one of them. It's also a Bjork thing. And then recently, my friend Leaf told me that you basically made an Evanescence song. It's like the chorus. The chorus is so Evanescence. And it is kind of true. I think I might have made one. Turn to Dust is sort of, it's the moment when you feel like you've reached the end. So now we are deeper into the relationship, the second one. And we sort of find ourselves in a similar place right before Frontline. And right when you feel like you're at the end, you turn to dust. So this is basically my analogy for like how I feel like I have no more. And then I look at you and I actually have nothing. Like the way that I could just be even more vulnerable and like how I could never run out of places to go in my heart. I guess Bluff it's an interlude, but yeah, it's hard to talk about without crying because it's the place that I find myself in almost every relationship where I'm trying to prove to the person that I'm with that unconditional love does exist, and sort of show them through my actions that like maybe no one's gone this hard for you ever, but like people could go this hard for you because you're so worth that. I think there's something also about being a trap bass beat, but with piano. There's this like toughness, but also the tenderness of the message. It's like my shit's really wide open, you know, and also there's this drop that makes everybody be like, you know? That intersection for me means a lot. Altadena is actually an arbitrary name for the track based off of what the instrumental was called. Jam City, the producer that I worked with on a lot of the record, he stayed in Altadena, right outside of LA, while I was working on the record. And he sent me a folder of tracks that he made, and they were just literally Altadena folder from 1 to 20, and it was like gold. It was literally, it felt like the soundscape for my album, for what I'm trying to say. This place that seems over there and like very ethereal and sort of otherworldly, but also like really round the way at the same time and familiar. So Altadena is sort of this note. It's a note of encouragement to, I'm specifically thinking about Black women who are just like on their grind and operating in spaces maybe where they're not appreciated. And it's just a message for those people so that they can feel like it's worth pursuing and pushing and persevering. It's also just an ode to Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson, most obviously, is just that type of song that I've always wanted to make.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos from your favorite artist. And while you're here, check out these other videos.